So let's begin creating our bear. For that, here I have the basic scene, the default scene of Blender when you open it, and we're going to actually use this default cube. So for that, I'm going to press 1 to see the front view, then 5 to see orthographic view. Orthographic view means we're seeing the object without perspective. If you don't know what you're seeing, here on this left top corner it says front ortho. If I press 5, it changes to front perspective, so you will know at all times what kind of view you are seeing. Okay, now that I'm seeing the front perspective of our cube, I'm going to zoom in a little bit by scrolling my mouse wheel, and then I'm going to press S and X to scale it on the X axis, which is that red line that goes through the middle of the stage. Okay, now I'm going to left click to confirm the modification, and as you can see we have a rectangle. Now that we have a rectangular square, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Tab to enter into edit mode. And now that I have edit mode, I will press Ctrl Tab to select face, so I can select faces. You will know you can select faces because they have a little dot in the middle of each face, so this means you are able to select a face. So now that I'm selecting faces, I'm going to select the bottom face, and I'm going to press Ctrl V, and I'm going to drag so I bevel this face, and then I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel to make these little cuts. And now, as you can see, I'm going to press A to deselect, and we have created what will be the basic shape for the head of our bear. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select here on Blender Render. I'm going to change it to Cycles Render, so we can see on Cycles. Now, if I press Shift Z, you can see we can see how the object would look in render mode. But now that we have our Cycles Render, I'm going to right click here on this little dot that it is the light, and then I'm going to come here to the right to this little sun icon, and I'm going to choose sun. Then I will click on use nodes, and I will type 2 and press tab. Then I will come here to this little world, and I will click on ambient occlusion, and then I will reduce the ambient occlusion to 0.36. Now if I press Shift Z, you can see we see the cube illuminated by the lights of the scene and the ambient occlusion. Now it's time to give it some texture, some color. So right now I'm going to come here to this little circle that is the materials tab, and I'm going to click on use nodes, and then here on surface I'm going to change diffuse to mix. And this mix will allow us to mix two shaders. Here you can see the two shaders. So here where it says none, I'm going to choose diffuse, and I'm going to choose color on a brown color. I will go here to the orange color, and then I'm going to drop down this little bar so it is brown. And then here on the second shader, I'm going to choose glossy, and I'm going to choose a reddish color. Okay, now if I press Shift Z, you can see the cube, the head of our bear is brown. So this is the start of our project, and now let's keep going. Now that we have modeled our head, it's time to create the eyes. For that, I'm going to press Shift Z to come out into object mode again. Then I'm going to press 1, and then I'm going to press Shift A so I can bring a new object into the scene. And then I'm going to choose UV sphere. Now that I have a UV sphere, I will move it with my red arrow so we can see it clearly. I will press Shift and middle mouse to pan and move and navigate inside the scene. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press 3 to see the side view. And now that I'm seeing the side view of the sphere, I want to press R to rotate it, and then press 90, and then press enter. Now, as you can see, we have rotated the sphere. So if I press tab and we see the geometry of our sphere, and I press A to deselect, you can see we have these concentric faces. So we have them facing front. So that's what we want, because we will use them to create the pupils of our eye. So right now I'm going to press tab to come out into object mode again. I'm going to press 1 to see the front, and then I'm going to press S and Z to scale it on the Z axis, which is up and down. So we will scale it so we will have an oval eye. It is not round, it is an oval. Okay, so now that we have an oval, let's make it white. Let's create a material. So let's come here to this circle that you already know, and then click on new, and this will by default create a diffuse white material. So if I press Shift Z, we can see it is already white. So now what we want to do is we want to press tab to come out into object mode. Let's press 1 to see from the front again, and then let's press C to paint select. So this is paint select. If we click, you can see we're painting the selection. I'm going to right click and press A to deselect, then press C again, and as you can see, if we scroll our mouse wheel, we can paint select bigger areas of our object. It all depends on the size of the paint select little circle that we have here. So I'm going to right click and press A to deselect all, and then I'm going to press C again, and now I'm going to paint select on the area that I'm interested in, which is the pupil. So now that we have this selection, I'm going to come here to this material and then click on this plus sign, not this one down here, this one up here. I'm going to click this to aggregate a new material, and then I'm going to click on new. And then I'm going to click on this color, and then I'm going to bring it down so it is black. Once I've done this, do not forget to click this assign button. So we have this second material, and what we're going to do is we're going to assign this second material to what it is selected. So we click assign, and then if we press Shift Z, you can see we have assigned the material to the eye. So right now I'm going to click on this wrench icon. First I press tab to come out into object mode, then come to this wrench icon and click add modifier, and then I will add a subdivision modifier, which will increase the geometry of our object, well, in appearance, because if we press tab we can see we have the same geometry, but in appearance we create a lot more geometry so it looks smoother. Then I'm going to come here and click on smooth, and as you can see we have our smooth eye. Okay, so now I'm going to move it to the left by dragging with my red arrow. I'm going to press 3, and then I'm going to grab it with the green arrow, which is the y-axis. Okay, I'm going to press 1, and then I'm going to press S and scale it. Okay, and then I will move it with my arrows. I will press 3 to see how deep inside the head it is. Okay, and now as you can see we have the main eye. So now what we want to do is we want to create the glossiness of the eye. So for that we're going to create a new sphere, but for that first, with my eye selected, I'm going to press Shift S and then choose cursor to selected. This will bring this little cursor into the center of our object, so when we create a new sphere, it will be created at the same position this eye is. So I will press Shift A. Now that I have my cursor ready, I will press Shift A and then click on UV sphere. And now that I have this UV sphere, I will scale it a little. Okay, now I will press S and Z to scale it on the Z axis. And as you can see, we have this sphere wrapping the eye that we already had. Okay, so now I'm going to click here and add modifier and add a subdivision as we did, so it is smooth as the eye. And then I'm going to click on this little corner that it is here and drag it so I bring a new window. And then down here on this little button with the cube, I'm going to choose Node Editor. So this will bring the node editor so we can work with the materials of our object with a little more freedom. I will press N to collapse that menu, and then I will come here to this little ball of materials and click on new. Then I'm going to zoom in by scrolling my mouse wheel. I'm going to select this one and I will press X to erase it. I will press Shift A to bring a new material, and I will choose shader, and then I will choose transparent. Okay, Then I will press Shift A and bring a new material, and I will choose glossy. Okay, then I will press Shift A, and then I will choose under shader, I will choose a mix shader. Then I will connect this here, then connect this here. And as you can see, if we press Shift Z, we can see the eye is glossy. Okay, so now that we have a glossy eye, I'm going to right click here in the middle, and I'm going to click on join area, and then click here. So we have a single screen. Once again, I will press 1, then I will move this eye, and so I can shift and right click on the other one. I will press Shift D, left click, and then move it with my arrow. Shift D is to make a copy. And now that I have this, I'm just going to return the eye to its position. Then right click on this one and return it a little bit down to its position. And now, as you can see, we have glossy eyes. Now let's quickly create the bottom eyelids for the eyes. I will press Shift Z to enter into object mode again. I will press 1, I will select the eye, and then press Shift S and cursor to select it. Now I will press Shift A and bring a UV sphere. I will press S to scale it. I will press S and Z to scale it on the Z. Then I will press Tab to edit. Then I will press A to deselect all. I will press Z to see wireframe mode, and then press B to box select, and I'm going to select here. So to grab the middle part of the sphere, then I will press X and select faces to delete them. Now I will press Z again to come out into object mode again, and as you can see, we have deleted the top half of the sphere. Now I'm going to press Tab. I'm going to scale it a little bit, and then I'm going to come here to the modifiers tab, to the wrench icon, click add modifier, and select solidify. First I'm going to press Ctrl A and apply rotation and scale so the modifier behaves correctly. And now I'm going to click and drag on thicken and drag it so it becomes thicker. So now I'm just going to select here smooth, and I'm going to come here to the materials tab, and instead of clicking on new, I'm going to choose the brown material we have for the head of the bear. And now, as you can see, we have created the bottom eyelid. I will press S and Z and squish it a little bit to make it a little bit shorter. Okay, now I will press 1, I will select it, press Shift D, left click, and then move it with my red arrow so it covers the second eye. And now I will press Shift Z, and as you can see, we have the bottom eyelids. Now let's create the snout. For that, I'm going to press Shift Z to come out into object mode. I will press 1. I will press right click here on the object and press Shift S to select cursor to select it. So my cursor is here in the middle of this object. Then I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to bring a cylinder. Now, if I bring a cylinder and I don't move anything, if I don't change its size or position or anything, I will have access to this menu. So in here, in this menu, I will click on Align to View. And now, as you can see, the cylinder is facing us. So we don't have to rotate it manually. We just click on Align to View, okay? So now I will press 3 to see the side view, and I will click and drag it with my green arrow, which is the y-axis. And now I'm going to press Tab to edit this cylinder, and I'm going to press Ctrl Tab and choose Face. Now I'm going to choose this face, press X, and Faces to delete it. Then I will choose this face, press X, Faces to delete it. Okay, now I will press 1, then I will press Z to see wireframe mode, and then I will press B to box select, and I will select the middle. And now I will press X and select faces. Then I will press Z to come into edit mode again, and as you can see, we have half of a cylinder. We just have to press Control Tab and select edges, and then if I select one edge, as you can see, I can right click and select one edge, but if I press Alt and right click, I select the whole loop. So now that I have my whole loop, I will press F to create a face. I will do the same in the back. I will press Alt and click and then press F. And lastly, I will select these 4 edges by Alt and clicking and then pressing F. Okay, so now as you can see, we have created the top part of the snout. I will press Tab to come out into object mode. I will come here to the materials and I will click on new, and I will choose a yellowish material. Now I want to press 1 and I will press S to scale it, and then I will move it, then press 3 and then move it with my green arrow. So as you can see, we have the top part of the snout. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to press 3. Now I will press Shift D to duplicate it. Okay, and now I'm going to press 1 and I will press R 180, so I rotate it 180 degrees, and now I will press 3 and move it here, then move it a little bit down, then scale it. Okay, now I'll press 1 and scale it a little bit bigger, and now as you can see, we have the basic part of the snout. And now what I will do is I will press 3 and then I will press Shift D to duplicate this shape, and I will press S and Y to scale it on the Y axis. Okay, and then I'm going to click here on this plus sign to modify this material without modifying the source materials of these objects. And now I'm going to choose here white, and as you can see, I'm going to press 1, scale it. I will press Z so it is clearer what I'm doing, and I'm going to press G to move it, then press S to scale it a little bit, then move it here, then Shift D to duplicate it, left click, then move it, then select both, Shift D to duplicate it, left click, and then move it. Then I'm going to select this one, Shift D, left click, move it, then I'm going to select all of them and scale them and then move them. I will press Z to see the normal mode again. I will press 3 and then I will position them here and I will rotate them a little bit to the front. Okay, and as you can see, we now have to maybe make them a little bit bigger and delete one of them. Press 1, Z, align them, and as you can see, we have created the teeth for our bear. Now what we have to do is to make the nose. For that, I'm going to press 1 and I'm going to press Shift A and bring a cube. I'm going to bring a cube. I will press 3 and move it. Okay, now I will come to the wrench tab, to the wrench little button, and choose Add Modifier and click Subdivision. I will bring it to number 2, and now I will press Tab to edit. I will press Control Tab to click on faces, then select the bottom face and press S to scale it. Then I will choose the bottom part and then scale it. Then I will press Tab, then press 3 and then press S to scale it and Y to scale it on the Y and squish it. Okay, now that I've done this, I'm going to click Smooth and maybe increase the subdivision levels to 4. Okay, so now I'm going to move it here, press 1, press Z to see what I'm doing, press Scale, S to scale, then move it here, S to scale. Okay, now as you can see, we have the nose for the snout. Now I'm going to select it and I'm going to come here to the materials, click on new and choose an orangey material. And now as you can see, we have the snout for the bear. Now the only thing I want to do is maybe make a little bit more shiny this material for this part of the snout. I'm going to right click it and then instead of diffuse, I'm going to choose mix shader. I'm going to choose diffuse and the yellow one I had. But I'm going to click on this second shader and choose glossy and make it orangey. And here I'm on the FAC. I can change the values. And now I have colored correctly the snout.